Broadcasting across the United States, Canada, and around the world, this is the Bible Answer Man broadcast. Your host for the program is Hank Hanegraaff, President of the Christian Research Institute. We're on the air because life and truth matter. For more information, resources, or to donate to CRI, call 888-7000-CRI or go online to equip.org. That's equip.org. The following program was pre-recorded. To start today's Bible Answer Man broadcast, here's your host, Hank Hanegraaff.
Thank you very much, Randy. Before we go to our callers, I want to deal with an issue that I have addressed in my Creation Answer book, and that is a sharp point of contention between young earth and progressive creationists. The contention being death before Adam. Young earth creationists maintain that all death, including animal death, is a function of the fall. Progressive creationists, however, believe that carnivorous creatures and natural catastrophes existed prior to the sin of Adam as part and parcel of God's, what they would call, very good creation. I would say, in distinction to both those points, that my view is the rift is unnecessary. And the reason for that is there is a false assumption that underlies the debate, and that false assumption is that Adam's sin necessarily precedes the advent of all evil. Of course, we're now here excluding the rebellion of Satan. And therefore, young earthers are constrained to reject what you find in the book of nature with respect to dating. But on the other hand, you have progressive creationists who feel compelled to reinterpret biblical passages that speak of natural evil as a direct consequence of human sin. Passages such as Romans chapter 5 and 1 Corinthians chapter 15. But again, I would say that orthodoxy demands faithfulness to truth in both general and special revelation. You can't take one or the other, both are necessary. So an orthodox understanding of the Creator of all things is that He acts transtemporally. In other words, He acts across time in all of His creation. Thus, the cross of Christ can retroactively atone for Adam's sin, just as it proactively atones for the sin of Adam's yet unborn descendants. There's little difficulty conceiving of a transcendent God who predestines natural evil to precede the fall, even though the fall is the necessary cause of the evils that precede it. So while it is natural for human beings to see time's arrow from a forward perspective, I think we do well to recognize that God's infallible truth is not always presented in chronological fashion. The advent of the last Adam not only atones for sin thousands of years after the event, but the last Adam, Jesus, is biblically portrayed as the Lamb slain from the creation of the world. The short, concise way of putting this is that God's purposes are presented in both chronological as well as chirological fashion. In other words, we see events reported in the order in which they happened, and we see events recorded according to their purpose and significance. So again, I think there's a rift in the Christian community that is unnecessary if we consider kairos as opposed to merely elevating chronos. Both are necessary and both are accounted for in the biblical text. And again, we must do justice to God's infallible repository of redemptive revelation, the Bible, but also do justice to correctly reading the book of nature, or that which he has created, or put another way, general revelation. I've dealt with this in the Creation Answer book, Answers to the Most Common and Controversial Questions about Creation. Again, when we talk about the issue of origins, we're talking about not a apologetic issue, but the apologetic issue. Do remember, as we approach the end of our fiscal year, which is June 30, we need your support tangibly now more than ever. I think it's very important for a ministry that stands for truth, no matter what the cost, to have those that stand with this ministry, both prayerfully and financially, and you could do that, again, online in a safe, secure fashion at equip.org, via the mail box 8500, Charlotte, North Carolina, zip code 28271, and then via the phone, 888-7000, and letter CRI.